Because everybody thinks I'm the world's toughest motherfucker. And I might be somewhere about that now, but that's where I was. And I tell the story because if I just talk about, I broke the pull-up record, I did all these fucking races, I went through SEAL training, I was in 3 Hell Weeks, Ranger School. If I talk about all the badassery, like we like to do on social fucking media, and I don't tell you that I was a fucked up kid, and I was scared as shit, and I was depressed and insecure, and all this shit, what good am I for anybody? I'm a superhero, but I'm a liar. I'm that now, but I wasn't born that. I had to make myself into this shit. So I go to a job called TACP. TACP is one of the best fucking jobs in the world. But my mind, once again, has me shackled, and I'm thinking I'm not a pararescueman. So I'm like, TACP was a great job, I had great friends in it, and I did it pretty well, but I could have been so much better. My mind was once again hijacking me. So I get out, but from the time from 1994 to 1999, or 1998, I go from 175 pounds to 297. Not much education. 4.5 years in the military, I started spraying for cockroaches and making $1,000 a month. And I had an $810 apartment. So I'm scrounging, dude. And so my life is hard. And but fuck it, I'm spraying for cockroaches from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's my life. But once again, man, you can't lie to yourself. I can lie to you, and I can lie to everybody else, and I was great at it. But buddy, every fucking day, in that dirty mirror, that accountability mirror was no more. Fuck that accountability mirror, let's just fucking shave my head and go to work. But I saw my reflection every day. But I really didn't know how fat I was. I didn't really want to look at myself, but I was haunted. These demons were in my head every day. Man, you ain't shit, man. God, dog, man, you wear this fucking uniform, you get in your fucking Ecolab truck, you go spray for cockroaches, you fucking go in the kitchens, you eat your fucking brownies and shit in the back kitchen, you make shakes and shit while you're in there, man. I was like, fuck, man. So at this time, my routine was to come home, turn the TV on, listen to the TV, like blare it, because like literally, I had this big living room and my shower was like back down the hallway. So I turned the TV on and like blare the TV and kind of like listen to it a little bit as I showered. I'm hearing Navy SEAL. Heard about them, knew about them, but now I want to come out and see what the fuck I'm talking about. 'Cause I heard world's toughest. So I come out and watch this documentary. I come out, I had my towel and I had my shake down on the counter. I have this little fucking TV in this huge living room. So I'm looking at the TV and I'm leaning forward and I'm watching this shit, and it pretty much goes through first phase, second phase, and third phase, but they concentrate on Hell Week. Okay. But all I saw was the Pacific Ocean. Yeah. Dude, I saw nothing but water. More water than pararescue. And these guys are like going from this big class to this, it shows them quitting. And I see nothing but this jackhammer. Guys, snot bubbles and just rolling around, sugar cookies, in and out of the surf. And carrying these boats and logs. I'm like, fuck that shit looks evil. But guys, as they quit, I saw like their soul leaving their bodies almost on screen, because this look came over them. And I imagined, I remember myself back in pararescue training, I bet that's how I fucking looked in front of that fucking Sergeant Lundberg. And I bet he could see in my eyes that I was basically quitting. He knew I was quitting. He just gave me a medical. That motherfucker knew it. As a man looking at another man, you know when the man's done. I said, that motherfucker knew I was quitting, dude. He just didn't, he saved me. Because I can look at somebody now and say, okay, dude, you're good. But I know you're quitting. It ain't your fucking knee or your back or whatever, you're quitting. He saw that in me and I said, motherfucker, man. So now I'm watching these guys go through training, and it goes down to 22 guys are left. And it was amazing how it ended. Because these words, I don't know them exactly, but it's in my book exactly. And this commanding officer's at graduation, and these 22 guys graduate buds, SEAL training. And his commanding officer's in his dress whites. He's up there, some old skinny fucking commander, but you can tell he's been through the shit. Salty looking motherfucker. And he's looking hard, and this speech was amazing. He goes, we live in a society where mediocrity is often rewarded. And he looked down at the 22 men, and he says something about basically, you all detest mediocrity. And he goes on to talk about this mediocrity and shit. And I just sat back and I said, God, man, I just want to be like these motherfuckers. I want to feel, because now I was projecting myself in those chairs. I want to, how do y'all feel like right now? And I want to feel like you do. You 22 men, I want to feel like that, man. I said, I'm tired of feeling the way I feel every day. I'm tired of how I feel. I'm tired of lying to myself, lying to people, and just being some piece of shit. And I always knew in the back of my mind I could be something special, but I knew the work it was gonna take. I was afraid of that. I was afraid of the suffering I was gonna have to endure.
There's this idea in Jungian psychology called the circumambulation. And Jung had this idea that you had a potential future self, which would be in potential everything that you could be. And that it manifests itself moment to moment in your present life by making you interested in things. And the things that you're interested in are the things that would guide you along the path that would lead you to maximal development. Now, it sounds like a metaphysical idea or a mystical idea even, but it's not. It's not. It's a really profoundly biological idea. The idea is something like, well, you're set up so that you're automatically interested in those things that would fully expand you as a well-adapted creature. Well, like, there's nothing radical about that idea. What else could possibly be the case? Unless there's something fundamentally flawed about you, that is what the situation would be. It's kind of interesting to think about how that would be manifest moment to moment, but the idea is something like, well, your interest is captured by those things that lead you down the path of development. So there's some utility in pursuing those things that you're interested in. That's the call to adventure, let's say. Willingness to act as if the world is constructed so that if you do the right thing, the best possible outcome will occur. It's a decision. That's the covenant, right? It's a decision about how to live in the world, because the evidence can't be there before you make the decision, right? And so you might hedge your bets. You know, when Christ comes back in the book of Revelation to judge people, because he comes back as a judge, and virtually everyone gets cast out with the chaff and not saved with the wheat. He divides he divides humanity into the damned and the saved, or the damned and the saved. He says something very interesting. He says, to those who are neither hot nor cold, I will spew you out of my mouth. And it's a disgust metaphor, right? And what it says is that the worst punishment isn't waiting for those who committed to something and did wrong. The worst punishment is reserved for those who committed to nothing and stayed on the fence. And that's really something too. That's really something to think about. And it's also something I believe to be true, because I see that stasis is utterly destructive. Because there's no progress, all there is movement backwards. There's aging and suffering and no progress. And so to not commit to anything is the worst of all transgressions. To commit means to put your body and soul into something. To offer your life as a sacrifice means that you're willing to make a bargain with fate. And the bargain is, I'm going to act as if I give it my all, then the best possible thing will happen because of that. And to not see the analogy between that and the act of faith in God is to misunderstand the story completely. And it has to be an act of faith, because how are you going to know? You can look at other people, but that isn't going to do it. Kierkegaard was very clear about this sort of thing. There's certain sorts of truths that you can only learn for yourself through experience. And that's, of course, why Abram also has to go out alone, right? He has to leave his kin. It's the individuation process. There's no way you can tell what is within your grasp, let's say, unless you make the ultimate sacrifice. And there's no way of finding out without actually making it. And so that's the sacrificial act, right? What a sacrifice means is that you give up something of value in the present so that you can improve the future. And you know, that's no different from what we call discipline. It's exactly the same thing. It's just the concretely acted out version of that. The future is actually the place where there is threat, and it's always going to be there. So what do? You make sacrifices in the present so that the future is better.